Man, let's talk about... See, you're thinking bring the noise. I got to go back in time, ladies and gentlemen. I got to go back into a time with big hair because 80s power ballads all week in my brain. Or when you used to bring the noise, it's like, come on, feel the noise. That's been in my head 2 or 3 times this week. Fortunately had some Queen in there too.
Cool boops.
Oh, okay, all right.
Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, what's been in my head are the Screaming Goat versions of pop songs. Because I made the mistake of watching like the compilation video. It's like a 5-minute video that has, you know, really well-known mainstream pop music, where the riffs, the riffs have been replaced with goats screaming.
Oh yeah. I've heard some of that. Yeah.
So yeah, I saw that video once, and now all of those songs are just playing on repeat in my brain with the goats.
You deserve that. 100%.
Aw.
I did that to myself. I take full responsibility.
At the end of the day, man, come on.
Hello, Arthur. Hello, Zoe. Hello, Linux Skinneroo. Linux Skinneroo, I'm sorry about your doggy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's no fun when puppers go.
Yeah.
A plant.
Hi, Rohit.
See, I tell you get a plant pager out of love, man. It's because I too have a plant.
See, my dad once told me you should get a cactus. That way you don't need to water it all that much.
Yeah.
Your dad goes through a couple of cats a year, huh?
My dad doesn't like cats.
Oh, man.
Aw, no problem, Arthur. You do so much for us. It's no problem.
Yeah. And we appreciate that, Arthur, very much.
Yeah.
But this week, turns out we were on point.
Yeah, a lot of stories.
Indeed, we threw a lot of stuff in the show notes.
I'm surprised the CPU prompt one made the pruning.
Yeah, I was...
You know, I had to leave something in there.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's just something that I saw because I have like the Linux search column on TweetDeck. And I saw that comes like, no, you can't be serious. I click on it, yeah, you are serious. Okay.
We'll definitely talk about it during the show. I looked at it and it's like, that's not really useful when you have 24 threads.
Yeah, I guess it would be a very
Even-
long command prompt.
Even with just 12, it's enough to go, okay, all of a sudden I'm just typing on the second line, whatever.
Oh, hi, brother Jellybean, and Evan is coming. Good, my nephew Evan. He's home for the summer. Yay, we'll have to get together soon.
What? No. Man, Axel Levin is horribly inefficient over a network.
Yes.
It works perfectly. It's a great protocol, but I'm just saying, if anybody's at home and you're like, man, you need a like a BS reason to excuse the expense of building out a dingy network, like I'm just going to SSH into all the things with X. Because you can push 200 to 300 megs real quick by just barely moving some things.
Oh, yeah. On the other hand, if you are setting up network connections to an X server over, say, RDP, so that your Windows using coworkers can connect to it, performance crap.
Well, there's also the like argument, like, why don't you just use a VNC or something like that? Latency. That's why. I gotta look at volume meters that are updated in milliseconds.
Yeah.
The time
Yay,
needed to
key.
turn that into a video and stream it, or a bitmap.
No, I set up because on more than one occasion there used to be these old flash drives that people got at work, and now they're starting to fail, and forensic recovery became a bit of a thing, and Dave was trying to do it on Windows, and I'm like, look, I set up that Optiplex with ESXi, I can just set you up with a session on Ubuntu, and you connect to it, and you do the thing to that. Like, okay. And yeah, so there's a little Ubuntu 1904 installed so that people can do forensics.
This is the thing, man. I mean, this is why I was so happy a couple of weeks ago. I was like, the things you don't expect to work, and the ease of it too. I mean, we're just talking SSH, login, whatever. I mean, do your own keys. -X, name a program, put that in a desktop launcher. You're done. Double click, boom. You might want to run it in a terminal, but. So who's buying AMD CPUs?
Yeah, I definitely will. It's time.
Alright.
I just, put together a temporary rig for the show, but that's going to be.
All right, whatever, Team Intel.
I knew you were going to make fun of me.
I'm making fun of you. You got an Intel CPU.
You do, Jill. You do.
That's how it works. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
but
happen
I
to
have
own
lots
a
of those in here.
Exactly, Team Intel.
Oh, no, I have AMD in here as well. The laptop I'm using is AMD that I'm on right now.
Listen, I'm playing the part of the internet.
Yeah, yes.
Like, what are you using? It's different than what I purchased. Therefore, you're against me. Like, okay.
Yeah, no.
Believe what you need to, buddy. Man, hey, I was excited that, like, Intel really tried to steal AMD's thunder, man. Like, right
They
before.
tried.
They're like,
Yeah,
hey,
they
we
did
released
try,
the
yeah.
same chip again.
It's the same chip, but this time they turbo up to 5 gigahertz. Hey, Intel, every single person out there who bought one of those chips was already running them at 5 gigahertz. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a very good summary of everyone who already purchased that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they haven't made one of those. That what is it, like a KS now? All the cases, like, yeah, they
Yeah.
all do 5. That's what we bought them for, Intel. Then AMD walks out, and AMD's like, yo, 12 cores, 24 threads. Wait for it, 103 watts.
It's like, oh yeah, 105 watt TDP, which will cost you $499.
Right?
That's less than half than the 992 FX or whatever.
But Pedro, 5 gigahertz. Guys.
I mean, the 3900X isn't that far off. It's like 4.6 turbo.
Whoa.
And someone's going to get it running on 5 gigahertz the moment that they're out, basically.
I don't know. I'm interested to see with the IPC improvement. Because they're like, yo, we're within like sometimes higher, 2 or 3 plus minus percent. And that was one of the things Intel had going on with it was like, but man, you level that playing field and it's still cheaper because AMD is used to living on a much smaller margin.
Oh, yeah. And you have IPC now basically being right up there and just completely trouncing Intel in multi-threading like they've always done. So, like, it's very hard to find a fault if they do deliver because they're not even out yet. So we only have AMD's numbers to go on.
Well, bringing HEDT, HEDT, it's a stupid name, industry,
Yes.
Yeah.
to consumer level platform. You know, I mean, as I said before I bought this Threadripper, I was like, this is the dumbest time in the history of ever to have to build a computer.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, it's getting that performance. I mean, you're even going to have, I don't know what they're going to have you're going to have PCIe 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to be seeing NVMe drives capable of doing 5 gig transfers.
And Corsair's already announced one, and someone else put out another one recently, so it's like, oh, okay. 5
And
gigabytes per second transfer speed.
the only thing I was a little disappointed on was they're like, oh yeah, Navi's the thing. Moving on.
We're going to announce one Navi GPU. And it's
Right.
going to compete with the
2070.
2070, yeah, so the 1080. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
All right, Lisa. What about the price? Moving on.
Yeah.
We will probably, we did a little bit of coverage of it. The T-Hand, the
Yeah.
MT joined me. I was like,
was
yo, who wants to come watch this with me? And MT's like, I'll come watch it with you, man. So we hung out and we watched that. There's going to be one at E3, the AMD announcement on the 10th. So
Yeah.
if anybody's interested in hanging out with that, let me know.
I was debating whether to go to
Assuming
E3
it
or
won't
not.
be at 3 a.m.
See, you had a bank holiday. You were up. It probably irritated.
Yeah.
No, I was up
Aw.
at 1:30, and then I woke up and I saw a little pool of saliva on my desk. So it's like, we're just gonna go to bed now.
Oh, Linux Skinner, that's so great about your goat. See, you're helping others even though you lost your own. That's
It looks
great.
delicious.
Oh.
Does it scream though?
And Arthur, and I'll probably just go with the 12 because for my broadcasting rig, I don't really need, any more than that. But if I was building another CPU for rendering, that would be a different story. I'd be going Threadripper. But I still have my literally 32-core Xeon processor render farm, so I don't really needing it right now. But that machine is so darn loud. I can't even.
Thought I had muted you, phone.
How dare you? No one puts phony in a corner.
I'm just bummed I lost my GTX. So what happened then is the power supply died, which fried the motherboard and fried my 1060. So that machine's gone.
See, a 1050 laptop. I totally did a review of the Introware Kratos, which has the 1050 on it. For 500, that's pretty good. That's like 300 $300 less than the Kratos was at the time. That's pretty good. And yeah, that 1050 Ti that I got, Nora, she plays mostly MMOs. It's like,
Yeah.
every single MMO at ultra graphics. It's like, I had a 750 Ti. It wasn't that good. Good
It'll
times.
work. I mean,
Yeah. No, it's great.
hey, Pager,
I
do you,
thought-
do you want to see a
Yeah.
joke? You're talking about laptops?
I saw that one. I saw that.
Yeah. Oh,
Really,
Arthur, yeah.
Intel?
I'm
Really?
using the same
I'm
mic
surprised
as
it
last week.
doesn't have fins.
Because I just wanted to use it for a couple weeks. I like that mug.
I'm
That was
surprised it doesn't
special
have a
'cause-
couple of hoses, like feeding some cooling bits.
It's special because it's my first mug.
Special
going on
because it's
LWW.
bootleg merchandise, not approved by Live
S.
Skin Cut.
Michelle made it for me. She's listening.
Get my lures on you, man.
My best friend. Linux chicks, go.
It's like, okay, the idea between the idea for dual screen laptops is a sound one.
Yeah.
That's stupid though.
You know, You can't say it's any more or less stupid than every other attempt in the history of ever to do more than one screen on a laptop.
Yeah. Yeah, there
Like
was
those Razer ones that had the foldy
Yeah.
out screens.
Now, admittedly, you see that
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, but the minute you try to like put that in practice, it's like, you can't use that. You could use that on
Yeah.
your desktop permanently staying there, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Toshiba back
You
this is like in the 90s 4.3 aspect had a brilliant one. It's actually one in I'm looking for as a collectible. It had 3 screens, but they actually pull out from behind the front screen. So you're not going to break it easy. It made sense. They slid out like sliding doors. It was cool.
Yeah, like
that was
those
a great
two
design.
prototypes that Razer had
Razer
stolen
had
from
later.
them.
Yes. And that was a great concept.
and
Ooh,
Yeah, no, you try to
better.
pull that off and you go to the coffee shop and you put your laptop
Yeah.
down and everyone's looking. It's like, why is that so thick? Hold on.
Hold on, yes. Or everyone always stares at me because I bring my beast, my Asus Republic
And everyone
gamers.
immediately gets up and goes to another table.
the only one I ever wanted to like break out in a hipster coffee shop, I think Dell made a 20-inch.
There were 21-inch laptops
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just crack that open. Like, yeah.
That was
But,
great.
you know, that's like being the person who brings their desktop.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think I better go take a bio break, as Ben says.
Go ahead, because I might have to do that too, because I'm
Okay.
almost done with this can of beer. Like, what is this, a pint?
Let's see, is there anything to creep on outside of the big ones? Oh no, man. If I walked into a room with that many stuffed big ones, nope, I'm out. I might take the companion cube, though.
Yes. Mine.
Yeah, the AMD announcements, I'm waiting for the thread ripping announcement.
Lisa Sue did say that they're back on the table.
That was cute. That was cute. I forget that blogger at Forbes is like, no, Threadripper's done. I'm like, you don't even understand the people who buy Threadripper. I was reading through the article. I was like, you're wrong. And I mean, it could have very well have died, but not for the, Threadripper was never marketed or aimed at people who game.
Mm-hmm. And his sole argument is like, okay, so if AMD is going to release 12-core and 16-core consumer level parts, then what's the point? The point is everyone else, the people who actually are looking for a Xeon with 16 or 32 cores or 24 cores or whatever, that doesn't cost $3,000.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
even if you... It's a different platform, man. And then with the chiplets, what I'm looking at is if we're gonna, because everyone sat on the floor, do the dinosaur, that there was a 16-core part. It's just not being announced yet. Which why would they announce it? Because Intel has nothing.
Yep.
They don't even have an answer to the 12-core. But if we're going to be seeing that, we're effectively going to be getting, like room level on Threadripper.
Yeah.
We will be seeing 32 and 64 parts, 100%.
And the 16-core part ones, everyone was already talking about it, and AMD said, yes, there will be one later.
Mm-hmm. There's no point in really... Well, I mean, that 16-core part probably 100% will require a top-end...
NX 570.
570, right.
And yeah, that's the point where you get all of the 40-something or 50-something PCIe lanes. I think it's 40. 40 PCIe lanes, and you will need that teeny tiny little fan on the chipset.
They all have that except for one motherboard. 40 lanes is nice for... We're currently using well more than 40 PCIe lanes right now. That's why we bought it. But
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go because I was like, man, I could really, for no reason, I have no practical reason for it. But I was like, oh, I'll buy like a 20, let's see, yeah, the 25, whatever it is, the 16-core Ryzen Threadripper 2nd gen. I'm like, I'll take one of those if it gets down to like $300.
Probably will be another year or so, but yeah.
Well, when the first 2nd gen Threadripper came out, like, they chopped 400 off the price of all the Gen 1s. I was like, do that again.
Yeah, see, if they were selling Threadrippers at 2700X price levels, they wouldn't have sold 2700Xs.
Well, I was able to get the 1920X. Yeah, the 2950 is what I'm like looking for. But the 1920X, I paid $320 for.
Yeah, 2700X price.
Instead of the like original retail, which was $799.
Yeah.
The only downside about Threadripper is like I don't have anyone to give this one to if I upgrade, because I'm good like that. I share the love. You know, if I buy something, I'm like, here, you take it now. I'm not very good at hoarding tech.
Well, I just go on eBay and I look for old cheap laptops that have, you know, some gimmick. Oh, god damn it again, Jitsi!
Have you updated
Did
Chrome?
that thing again. Oh well, if this happens during the show, I'm just going with it. Okay, give me a sec.
Bye. Pager quit.
It just died. Well, it didn't die. You still hear me and I can still hear you. It's just my video just went.
Huh. You
Yeah,
don't.
it gets old. That's
know
Mary
what?
Mess I posted earlier.
I'll take that over the what we had to deal with Saturday.
Yes.
I was exhausted after that show. I was like, jeez, all right. Been a while since we've wrapped up at like 1:30 in the morning. Like, and we're done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to finish this beer and I'm gonna go
Okay.
pee. I'll be right back.
Go do your thing, then we'll do a show. It's gonna be awesome, isn't it?
Yes, Ben.
Yeah, that's the spirit.
Yay.
See, I don't have any spirit. You just gotta make up, gotta compensate. I show up excited, so just run. Don't ask questions. Man, right? We have that. Looks like everything's holding very well. I had to redo some QoS. That's always fun.
Oh, boy.
But seems to be working. Walls. Can't have beer. Oh no. Man, I had those Heinekens Saturday. Those aren't bad.
Oh, those zero alcohol things?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried one and I picked some up just for the show Saturday. I picked them up like Thursday or whatever. Didn't pay any attention. I don't really look at prices when I'm shopping for food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, 6-pack. All right, I'll try those. Because they were really good, and I had one. And
Oh, good.
it's like $9 for a 6-pack. It's like, jeez. Regular 6-pack, $5.
The only beer I found I like is malt beer.
Malt beer.
Yeah. It's a friend of ours is a bartender and makes his own beer, and he calls that one malt beer.
So you like malt
he
beer.
also-
So you like Colt 45.
Yeah, I prefer mixed drinks myself.
Oh, man. The only mixed drink I like is Long Island iced teas. I've had that argument. They're like, wait, you don't drink mixed drinks. You know, I normally just drink hard liquor straight out of a cup because that's how I roll. What do you drink next? I was like, Long Island iced teas. I'm like, that's just a bunch of hard liquors in one glass. I'm like, you see my point, right?
Yeah.
It works. Gets the job done. You got to be careful with Long Island iced teas, though.
Mm-hmm.
You can wake up in a different state, and I'm talking geographic location.
No, I love my Midori sours. Anything that's sweet and you don't taste the alcohol. Anything with vodka in it. Bug juice, Midori sours, margaritas.
Margaritas. I can hang with a margarita. My biggest problem is, see this giant thing?
Yeah.
It's empty. It was full when I sat down. I drink a lot of liquid.
Yes, it was. You drink. Yeah. I drink a lot of water throughout the day.
And I killed a cup of tea before we got started on that.
Oh my goodness, Ben. See, that's...
I'm well hydrated.
Yeah, same here.
Apple martini. Man, I used to...
Oh, yeah.
If it's... See, I can't deal with sweets, but like every now and then, like a cider beer.
Oh, yeah. I do like cider.
I think
I
Holmesby
have like that. Yeah.
has one. And I was like, that's not bad. I can take a couple... I was like, that tastes good because it's kind of bitter. But I couldn't drink a whole one of those, man.
I don't like cider.
I like it even more now. I've rediscovered my love.
Yeah, no, Nori loves cider. It's like there's one that's tolerable. If I had to drink it, I wouldn't mind it.
See, this is where I'm at. I'm in that category. It's like, all right, what do we
Yeah.
have that's available that I can, all right, carry around with me?
Yeah, it's black currants and blueberries, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is also very bitter, which I like.
I'm not a fan of Guinness. Not my jam.
I don't mind Guinness.
I don't hate it. It's not like celery or cantaloupe, but
I hate melons in general.
yeah. we do share the general hatred of all things melon.
Yeah.
Wannabe fruits. All right. Let me get a refill, and then we'll do a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like this big balloon filled with water, and you eat it.
I like
Really?
watermelon. I like watermelon rinds.
Yes. Toast them a little bit.
Toast them.
Oh, I thought you meant the seeds. Never mind.
No, I meant the rinds. With
Oh, okay. Right.
the bitter parts. Those aren't
Yes.
bad.
Yeah, I like the
Ooh.
seeds because you put them in the oven for a little bit.
Pumpkin
They're
seeds, man. I didn't know I like pumpkin seeds until someone was like, "Have you tried pumpkin seeds?" It's like, whatever. It's like, oh my god, I've never bought them again. It's like, I will eat all of these.
Sunflower seeds also very good.
Yeah, but you have to shell sunflower seeds. Pumpkin seeds, you can just mainline those and just delicious.
Yeah, they used to sell like prepackaged ones that were covered in salt. You
Yeah.
need a drink to go with them, but they were good.
I do love melons, watermelons, honeydews.
Yeah, no. I think it's because my parents tried to push them on me so much. It's like,
I
oh,
got
but it's
sick of
so
them.
good. It's so sweet. It's like, you try it. It's like, I hate it.
Oh.
I do. Freaking hate them. Like everything that my parents tried to push on me, I grew to hate. So
Yeah. I understand.
and the stuff they said I shouldn't like, like burgers and steak. That's the stuff I like. Speaking of burgers, that's probably going to be dinner tonight.
Oh,
I do
yeah.
have the ground meat, so I can just chop up some onions and some teeny tiny little bits of bacon. Yeah. How about you, Jill? What have you been doing?
Oh, testing that rig and been having fun with that.
I saw your picture. That is very
Yes.
pink.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait. I'll show you the front when it's all built. It's pink with red lights. But what's nice is it's a really quiet case, and that's what I was going for. I wanted something that was all steel, and that had a side blower for the power supply instead of one that, because I'm putting the computer on a carpet. So
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
so, and that's hard to find now. It's hard to find one that
Yeah.
because they're all
Yeah,
bottom.
you usually if you go for like the mini ITX cases, they will actually mount the power supply sideways, so you could have the side
Yeah.
blow thing. But yeah,
So, yeah, it's really beautiful. Actually, it's a very classy case. I'm very happy about it.
yeah.
I just wanted something different, and I'm like, I love pink, so I got a pink case. So you'll see pictures, and then I'll have it over here when I get get it done.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I got the
Yeah.
when I replaced that old white case that I had, this Corsair 270. I was like, oh, no windows. Let's go with that.
Yeah. This one just has a small window, which is nice.
Yeah.
I didn't care if it had one, but I do like a little lights. I do like a little bling, but not too like overpowering. So.
This case is a window and it upsets me.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, that's why I
But
got the 270. I was like, oh, I could get secondhand for like 35 pounds. It's big, and it has no window.
Pedro, you made we stumbled across a good point when we were talking. It's like, what is a legitimate use for a case window? Water cooling.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can constantly check whether or not it's leaking instead of using the computer.
Yeah, there is the show-off part of it, but it's also the, if you leak, I see you.
Right.
Small windows.
Window haters, yeah. Yeah, this one it was nice because the window's only like a third the size, so it keeps it quiet.
I don't know. I got this case used, and that was like the one. I'm sure this is. It kind of makes me happy that it was returned because it looks like a thread on the window, where it's been scratched, and I'm sure that's why.
I'm pretty sure the
Oh,
reason
okay.
why this case was returned is because there's a bit of a gash in the front from someone taking a knife and jamming it on it and then sliding it down. Because the moment I pulled it out of the case, it's like, that's why it was returned. Okay. It's going to be under the desk the whole time. I don't care. The buttons aren't even on the front, they're to the side. So,
All right. Let's earn our keep.
yes.
Yes.
Looks good. And dance monkeys dance. That's right. That's the spirit.
Oh.
That's very close to what goes through my head. All right. And oh, right.
Hmm?
I'm having a discussion with Audacity right now. I'm like, why are you back on Pulse? You need to get over to Jack. Okay, and 1, 2. We are recording. Yes. All right. 3, Did we get everything? I think we got everything. Pedro, are we like a Picassoing?
Yeah.
Eh?
Picasso impression with a return video? It's an art joke?
No, it's good. It's good for now.
All right.
Good.
If you need to reboard it, like, give me a clear wave or something. All I got to do is tap the mute button and you can come right back in.
Okay.
All right. That's not going to work. Science. And welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take a midweek break, and talk about some of the fun things we found going on in open source and Linux and all that fun stuff. I am Vin Stone. That is Jill Bryant with her brand new PC. And one Pedro Montez. He's hey man, how's it going? How's everybody doing? It is, as they say, another great day for Linux.
Yes.
What's up, man? Jill, speaking about that rig, man, you just went like Hulk smash on your old one, right? And you just hooked up that taser and put it down.
Oh, yeah, it died. Power supply went, burnt out the motherboard and my GTX 1060. So that's no fun. So I'm building a new broadcasting rig, as many of you know, and it is very, very pink. It's as pink as my one chair shirt. And it'll be in use in the next week or so. But I have tons of computers here, of course. Why aren't you using one of those? Well, because they're too loud. My system over here with a 4-processor Xeon. Yeah, it sounds like a motorboat engine when I turn it on. So not a good replacement for my broadcasting rig. So I need something quiet. So I'm building something quiet.
Get longer cables. Put it into the room.
Nope. What you do is replace all those cables with ether noodles. Then you can just run them kilometers, well, not kilometers, but 200 meters.
Yeah, there you go.
Then pull it up on a thin client and do everything. Speaking of that, man, if you follow me on social media, that was my adventure. When was it? Monday, my day off. And yeah, I ripped out like 8 or 9 cables to 4 sound cards out of our recording rig to move everything over to completely, I mean, it's completely digital now. The only analog to digital conversion we have is this microphone going through a preamp into the interface, all the mix minus, all the sound and all that. We're bypassing that conversion, which makes expanding a lot easier. We're still going to get that jack set up studio walkthrough because outside of like putting a couple of repurposed 10 gig NICs into the Optiplexes to make me sleep better while we're doing this, because I sleep during the show, apparently. We'll get that out in case anybody wants to replicate it. But, Pedro, you're buying a new AMD. All right, here we go. This is what we need to ask. Here's what we need to ask. How accurate were the predictions? Because I was giving you a lot of grief of like, you were telling me
completely off.
the exact model numbers that you was like, well, this is the one I'm buying. Like, we don't know which one's
I
which.
am still totally going to buy the 3700X because the one thing that they got right was the MSRPs. The MSRP of the 3700X is going to be $329. And that is going to be an 8-core 3.6 to 4.2 or 5.3. I can't remember. But yeah, it's going to be an 8-core. And that's going to probably be the safe thing since it's also a 65-watt TDP part, which is totally what this Asus B350 Prime Plus motherboard has been running for the past year or so. So it's... Yeah, I'm gonna go with that because it's within my budget that I kind of set for myself because I refuse to spend more than 400 pounds on a processor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that 3900X is looking good. It is looking very good.
It's pretty neat, man. I know a lot of people who are excited about the 12 core, and I was like, who needs a 12 core?
Aren't you running a 12 core?
Yes.
Shut up.
Red Ripper. Red Ripper.
Although to be fair,
you.
yeah, that is a 105 TDP. The new Ryzen is a 105 TDP 12 core versus your 130,
80.
125.
It's 100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's if it's just running at normal speed. Of course, I don't run it like that. I run it at like, run as slow as you can, little buddy. So it's about 100 and 125, which still isn't that great. Anyway, that's enough playing around. Let's get right into one of the things that I think a lot of people stood back and went, well, it's about time.
Yeah,
Yes.
it took them long enough. It's according to Jason Evangelho, the proprietary NVIDIA drivers are now available on the Ubuntu 1904 or 1910 beta ISOs, and took them long enough. It's been a while, and if you've ever bought a new NVIDIA card, like say a 970 4 years ago when they came out, or a 1080 like shortly thereafter, and you decided to do a fresh install of your operating system, and the only way you could get a graphical anything to show up on screen was to just use software rendering, yeah, you probably wish that Ubuntu and other distros included the NVIDIA proprietary drivers. And they do now, or they're going to now, so finally, took them long enough.
Yes.
Well, Popey is like, yo, what's up? We had to get permission from NVIDIA, which they did.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and
No,
I do hope that with Ubuntu introducing this, they're going to, more distros are going to go to NVIDIA. It's like, can we do that too?
And to kind of get out in front of it, it's like, but Pop OS already did that. We all know that's good. And that's good. And be like,
Yes.
hey, a lot of people like that. And a lot of people was like, I'm just going to use Pop. Because sometimes you're trying to install, Ubuntu in your submarine and you don't have an internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you can get it on. Listen, man, I got NVIDIA. I love the work being done by the open source drivers, but that can barely, I know on the 20 series, man, I gave Fedora a lot of grief. I'm like, I had to VNC to install it. But yeah, having that option out of the box configured during install is awesome. Huge fan of that. And hey, one thing you can say about Canonical, unlike Fedora, it doesn't try to make you feel bad for installing proprietary NVIDIA drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there that are going, oh, but including the NVIDIA drivers. Yeah, Ubuntu already includes a lot of software that is not, free in the installment sense.
Listen,
out of the box.
Pedro, I only play open source video games.
How's I don't know, how's Super Tux Kart nowadays?
Man, I don't know. That is my, like, let's just end this conversation. When you're like, but the open source, I only use that. And it's like, you only play open source video games? Well, no, that's different. And it's like, that's only different because where you've drawn the imaginary line in the sand.
Yeah.
And most people who say that, they don't even realize that, yeah, your open source AMD graphics are still relying on closed source blobs in the kernel.
Nope, can't hear you.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Very true.
Joe, what are your thoughts? man?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Vin. With the success of Pop! OS, doing it via dedicated NVIDIA proprietary driver, ISO, this just makes sense. And I'm so happy that Popey and Wimpy and others out there were pushing for this because we needed it. And it actually makes Linux, once again, even more so the best plug-and-play OS out there. Take that, Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a thing. Up next, man, we got a little bit of news, and it's good news. It's like I said on Twitter, this gentleman is an FSM damn saint, archiving 26,500 community Q&As from Ask Fedora. And you're like, what is Ask Fedora? Well, if you're on the Google and you've searched for basically anything and you click it and it's like page not found, that's what Ask Fedora was, man. So I'm really glad went through the trouble of getting this archived and put together. Pedro, it's on Internet Archive, right?
Yep, it is on the Internet Archive, and they are looking for people to help them mirror it into as many places as possible, so that even if something happens to the Internet Archive, we hope not. But if something happens, it'll always be available, it'll always be there, and it will always be accessible. It's also available from the askbot.fedoraproject.org. So if you go there, it's read only, but Fedora are still hosting that. I guess they saw part of what they did when they decided to upgrade from Askbot to the new thing, whatever it was called. And they decided, let's just go with the nuke and pave. And yeah, it would be nice to have something like this and I wanted something kind of the level of the Arch Wiki, which has everything. And kudos to the fine folks that curate the Arch Wiki, because that is applicable to not just Arch, but Fedora, Ubuntu, and quite a few other distros. Unfortunately, Fedora has always had that bit of I don't want to say elitist mentality, but I kind of want to say it as well. It was never the most friendly in the community sense.
Hey man, watch it. Me and Fedora get along well.
Yeah.
I like Fedora as a distro. It's just that
here's what
if
Fedora
you need
is.
to go
I
there
thought
and
about
ask
it.
for help,
I know.
you're boned.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Fedora is, think of it as Arch without the Arch Wiki.
Yes.
To oversimplify it. Jill, 502 bad gateways?
Yeah.
What?
So, what happened to me yesterday? I was writing the show notes, and case in point, I went to the link in our show notes, and it said 502 bad gateway for the link above. So, so I had to search for another article, which I found on Reddit that talked about them moving it over to the Internet Archive, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
So, and then the Linux Today also, I put a link in there for that because our main link didn't go anywhere.
I think that's really good. And, one thing maybe you don't know if you're searching on Google, usually 9 times out of 13, there will be an option for the drop-down box. In the right-hand corner, it's microscopic where you can view the cached version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that is most definitely a thing. Last week, apparently the reports of Antargo's death were a bit untimely.
Oh,
well, they weren't timely. It's just
okay.
that
All right.
someone decided to do something about it.
Yeah. So this is awesome. I was so happy to hear that the spirit of the Antargos project will continue on in a new distro codenamed Endeavor. Yay! The new team is going to first move the community to a new forum because the original forum will be taken offline in 3 months. And they are actually looking for people from the community to join in who know how to code, who want to help by maintaining the news and article feeds as a blogger and a vlogger. And they actually plan to start a YouTube video log in the future and wanting to continue the friendliness and the nice community that Antargos had created. So this is just, I was really happy to hear this, and good luck.
See, I'm not going to break out into Frozen's Let It Go here. No, since Jill mentioned the community.
Listen,
and
Princess Pedro, don't shortchange me.
No. No one needs that in their lives, or their ears for that matter. But I don't really know the Antargos community all that well, and what I will say is that I have been through the experience of having a distro that you are very much involved with and you very much enjoyed just, die. Mostly, fault of its own success and systemd. But that's something I've experienced myself. And there were talks of continuing Clover. It was going to be called Cloverleaf Linux. No one remembers that, rightly so, because it didn't go anywhere, really. So temper your expectations because the distro you loved is dead. Hopefully, they'll be able to make a spiritual successor to it that will be still just as good. But temper your expectations.
Yeah, man, we'll call it the Grand Tour.
Oh, no.
Since you're
Very
over
appropriate,
Pedro
yes.
at linuxgames.com.
Aw.
I like the Grand Tour, by the way.
Yes, me too.
So,
Yeah.
I saw this question asked in a couple of threads. They were like, was Antargos anything more than a glorified installer for Arch, though?
Not really, no. They had their own custom repo with just a couple of specific packages. but it was mostly stuff designed just for that ease of use. And most of it is already a part of the AUR, and some of them were even brought into the Arch proper repos. So right now, with Manjaro actually doing a very good job of being the Ubuntu or the Linux mint of Arch, whatever you want to call it, and including the NVIDIA drivers out of the box. Go figure.
Yeah.
It's, as it turns out, Manjaro, again, like I said last week, they came in and ate Arago's cake.
Well, at least the community wants to continue on doing some things, and you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always good. You just keep fighting. Keep doing the things that you gotta do. Sometimes people don't feel like continuing the fight, though. They just peace out. They're like, all right, I'm out.
No, they don't. And the creator of DStat made a very passive-aggressive post on his GitHub page for DStat, and it's like, so long and thanks for all the fish. It's like, okay, that's the tone we're going for. And he says, since Red Hat decided to replace this utility with a complete framework and its own utility with the same name, and since I have zero interest to fight a multi-million company who likes replacing commands with their own, I have been in this situation before and didn't bring any joy, and since nobody is picking up the towel, let's just end this project here. So yeah, DStat, the original one, is gone. And I was reading through that, it's like, okay, if what he says is true and Red Hat did take his stuff and called it something similar, I'd be a bit pissed too.
Yeah.
Of course, Red Hat had a post of their own back in February 14th, and they describe it's like, okay, DStat is basically dead, so we decided to take it and integrate it into the Performance Copilot, PCP. Not, Petrocan Proton. But it's, they decided to integrate that and make that into just the one thing. And yeah, the story that they tell is slightly different. And I'm like, okay, so the project was dead, but that post that he made on GitHub was like 7 days ago. So what the hell? So I go back to his GitHub, I click the commits button. It's like, oh, there was a bit of a gap between November 2016 and January 2019 where there were no commits.
Well, as I've, not broke, don't fix.
Yeah, fair, but the commit on January 2019 was about fixing lots of bugs. So it's like, you probably should have been doing that this whole time.
PCP DStat, that's the thing I installed it. I typically don't use DStat, which I probably should anyway. But yeah, it had been several years. Now I understand where Red Hat was coming from. They're like, no updates in 3 years. We want to continue using this tool, and thanks to the miracle that is open source, we can go, hey, we can fork this over and start working with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll take on the responsibility of keeping it updated. So I understand where the developer's coming from, but I also can absolutely see the giant soulless corporation, and I was like, but IBM's big and evil, but hey, it's not like it's closed binary now, And I'm like, we're going to do some work on this and keep it updated. Is that cool? It's like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to work.
And expand on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Aww. Well, DStat for many of us Linux users, of course, is the Swiss Army knife tool for monitoring system performance, benchmarking, and troubleshooting, and I've actually been using it for years. And Red Hat, I'm sure, will and should give the developer of DStat, Dag Weirs, credit where credit is due. And as Pedro found out, maybe there just needed to be more communication between Dag Weirs and Red Hat regarding DStat and the gap in commits, which suggests the project not being active. Because like Ven says, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Well, I only say that because how many times have you spent the entirety of a day trying to just get back to where that day started before you fix something?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've all been
It
on
has
that
happened.
journey. Oh,
Yeah.
man. It's happened enough. I was like, oh, it's like 4 p.m. It's like, here we go again,
Yeah.
Can I get this done before my body shuts down and I need to go to
Right.
sleep?
It's the sense of accomplishment is like, yes, it's back like it was this morning before I touched anything. Yay. Okay, quit theming apps, man. Quit theming apps.
Yeah, this one blew up
Yeah.
early. It was like late last week and earlier this week. There were a bunch of people reposting this and retweeting this. And yeah, so apparently a bunch of people who develop applications for GNOME were a bit disillusioned by the theming options that, themes for GTK offer. And some of them outright broke the certain bits of functionality or the entire aesthetic that they were going for with the application. And the icons, being able to change the icon is basically like you go in and you go to Coca-Cola and you say, we don't like your logo, here's a new logo, we're just going to use that for you. It's like, you can't do that. Yeah. So they decided to get together and they started a bit of a web page. It's a stopthemingmy.app. Very good use of a top level domain there. Very good indeed. It's basically these developers asking some of the names you may even recognize as someone who develops your app of preference. And they say, please, if you have to have the option to let people apply the theme that they're using for the rest of their desktop to our application, at least give them a choice between using the theme, using the CSS file from the theme, or just having the one that's built in and that the developer created, because that's how the app should work.
I kind of feel like play with it. If you move a UX element, you should get booped on the nose. That's all I'm gonna say.
True.
I mean, it should never be here in one place and here in another for no reason in the history of ever.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I like what our very own Matthew Comandun, developer Lwdw, said on Twitter, that there needs to be better and clear documentation for what is themable and what is not, rather than to discourage theming completely. Completely agree, Matthew. And there really needs to be a unified GTK theme API, not a set of hard-to-use and hack CSS style sheets. I've played with those before. Not fun.
XKCD927?
Yes, definitely. Good one, Pedro. And I love and want to keep the theming and uniqueness of Pop! OS, Linux Mint, Ubuntu, etc. And both theme creators and app developers need better guidelines for theming and their errors herein. We just need a better option so we can stop arguing and get it organized.
And as Popey and Shetrel brought up, you may know him, Mr. Alan Pope himself. It's like, this is aimed at distros, not users. They don't like that Ubuntu ships Yaru, which is the default theme for the base version of GNOME of Ubuntu, and System76 shifts their own Pop! OS theme. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What's a theme?
Yes, this is...
As someone who has used many themes in many different desktop environments at once, one thing I can tell you, Ven, is that themes generate error logs.
Yes.
Tons of them.
Okay, I'm going to continue not knowing what a theme is then.
Yes. Ven uses 0 as in black.
That high contrast theme that you have on XFCE, that's a theme.
So I can see.
It is. Yes.
Yes.
I would say, when I think of themes, is 100% cosmetic. I was like, change the button widgets, okay.
Keep everything in place, but just change colors.
Yeah. That's what I would expect from a theme. If anything moves at any point, I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that. I don't know. Maybe I'll get into themes when XFCE 4.14 launches next month. And
Okay.
It will just be a kaleidoscope of nightmare rainbows all over my desktop.
GLX compositing.
All right. Fund your work, Build what matters. Connect with a community that depends on your work. Receive recurring funds to build your shared digital infrastructure. And we're not talking about Patreon. No, nay. We're talking about GitHub. I know, right? You're thinking about that. It's kind of adopting the Patreon model, man. I mean, if you get a project on here and this is a beautiful idea to help fund the people making the software that you use. And yes, I know. It's like, but it's Microsoft. But listen to the good they're doing here. Listen, okay, first off, just the AutoCAD, man. Yeah. I've had a problem with it for years. All right, this is new. So for the first year, they are going to even cover the payment processing. So you're going to get 100% of the support that anybody wants to kick your way. And that's brilliant because you do got to say, this is a good way to get people who might have pressed that nope button to at least give GitHub a second chance. They're like, all right, maybe we can come back. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, Microsoft doomsday naysayers and whatnot, this is good for development. This is good for software engineers.
Yeah, you give
great
people
for
a
projects.
budget. It's, yeah.
Yes. And Popey, I would be happy to send Vin some GitHub Octocat stickers. I have hundreds of them, including on this cabinet, before they got taken over by Microsoft.
Have you ever been in Tasmania, Jill?
Yeah.
Yeah. What really surprised me here was it's like, okay, so Microsoft is enabling a Patreon style of thing for GitHub. How big of a cut are they taking? And they specifically say, we're not taking a cut. And like Ven mentioned, for the first year, they're going to be covering the fees. Now, after that year, someone will have to eat those fees, and it's not going to be GitHub or Microsoft. But they're not taking a cut from it. That's very good.
I would like
That's
to
something
speak
I
for the
did not
majority of
expect.
everyone. And we sit back, and we've said it on this show multiple times, and Microsoft does something good. It triggers these, like, what's up?
Yeah.
What's coming?
Yeah, it's
What's
like,
coming?
because Microsoft's it's a huge company. They got some old DNA baked into it, but there are parts of Redmond that are genuinely trying to do some good here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, this is actually an ingenious way to keep developers on GitHub and get paid. Wow, it's wonderful. And all you need is a GitHub account, and you can sponsor anyone with a sponsored developer profile through a reoccurring monthly payment, which is really awesome, just like what we do on Patreon. And like Ven was saying, so this is a lot nicer than winning a limited edition t-shirt for GitHub's annual Hacktoberfest that they promote every year, but Microsoft was really promoting it. So
This is good. This is
Yeah.
good. And, you know, it might even have the benefit
Awesome.
of, you know, there's some projects that I would love to give money to, but they are not on anything. You know, it's like, where's Mercurial? I'm like, geez, really?
I guess someone had to,
It's
right?
like, why not CVS? I mean, if we're going to hipster it, man.
yeah.
So, all right, I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely going to be kicking some coin in their direction. Speaking of open source projects.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
yes.
really awesome. Logitech is now a diamond sponsor of the Open Broadcaster Software project on Open Collective. Yay!
Yay,
And this,
OBS.
yes, OBS. So this falls on the heels of the XSplit Software and Games Done Quick website, who are gold tier sponsors. So this is their first diamond sponsor as well as the highest. Thank you, Logitech. And this definitely makes sense for Logitech, who have been in the communications devices space for years. How many of us are using a Logitech C920 webcams right now?
Right here.
All of us broadcasting right here. Yeah, and Subfen, yeah, he's got his own special camera that sees special things.
I have my Hello Kitty Island Adventure camera. Jill, don't do a Logitech commercial because your camera's about to die any minute.
It is. I need a new one. Maybe on the Wish Zone. I don't know. But in February, we talked about Open Collective as a way to support OBS development, and it's like Patreon but for companies. So this is just really awesome to see OBS now getting sponsors. Awesome.
Pedro, help me out. What's this OBS thing? I've never heard of it.
Well, you're using it right now. I don't know how you've never heard of it, but you're using it right now.
Yeah.
You tell me, why did you
Open
wait this long?
broadcaster.
It's been years.
Yeah, and when it first came out, because seeing Ven back in the early days of LGC do the FFM peg magic, it's like I can't wrap my head around that. And then OBS shows up with the Linux version. It's like I can wrap my head around this.
Yeah.
And it is a genuinely really good front end for FFmpeg. And Logitech came in. It's like, oh, what's that? 50,000 wet stinky caches.
Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
Like,
yay.
very well done there, Logitech.
Well done,
Very well
Logitech.
done.
Call me. I can start using a Logitech webcam again. No, that is brilliant. And OBS coming out and going open source and doing that from the where it started out has just made it a better project as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's allowed
It's awesome.
You got kids today, kids are like dreaming about you still got kids that's like, I want to be a professional sports player and all that. Then you got someone that's like, I want to be a professional gamer. Then there's still like, hey man, I want to be a professional streamer, which could lead them into broadcasting and all this other fun stuff. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to drop a check out of their milk money, their allowance money, or like hit up mom and dad when they're 12. They can get started using open source software like that. And I think that's awesome. That is good. And
amazing.
Thank you, Logitech, for helping them out with that. So
that was very nice. So we go from something very nice to something very baffling. So this is a teeny tiny project that I saw show up on my Twitter feed. It's like, that can't be what it does. That is exactly what it does. And what it does is put the current CPU load in your bash prompt. Not as a the output of a command. No. The bit that shows up before you start typing the command. That is your CPU load. It's like, but why though? Why? Does it need to?
Does it need a purpose? Lead Hacksaw, all the things. I like using the Hollywood app that the
that
hacker.
Admittedly, the Hollywood thing has a couple of
good
useful
uses, practical
tools built into it. Yes, there's a practical use to it, even if it's just for you to put on at work and look like you're busy when you're actually not.
Yeah.
Listen, I've watched Star Wars in a terminal, so you can just shut up with your why.
Yes.
I gave this a spin. It's of questionable use with 24 threads, but...
Yeah, even 12 is way... It's like, okay, my terminal window isn't that big, so I'm just typing on the second line now. Okay.
Hey, go check it out. I mean, listen, this would be another in the long list of, like, silly things. I don't know about the actual usefulness of it, but it's still cool. All right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is.
It's neat, but why, though?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Because you
earlier
can.
this week, I think it was even last week, I thought I had broken Chrome. Something went wrong, went horribly wrong, and I was going to have to wipe Chrome, reinstall it, which I did. Didn't fix the issue. Turns out it was a feature, not a bug. We're talking about there's a thing in Chrome now where it prioritizes search words over the visited sites. Now, this drove me insane because I would go to Linux game LI, or L, or if I'm going to YouTube, it's just Y, or if I'm going to Reddit, it's R, and it's muscle memory. It's tap, 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 and it was giving me search terms at the top. I'm like, what's going on? This is insane. There's a fix, okay? Everyone who has this problem, really easy. It's in the Chrome flags. You just Omnibox drive suggestions. Nope that from
Doesn't
orbit.
work.
100% kill it. Oh, it works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But
it's still
it's just irritating. So, and it is very irritating because one of the biggest things that pushed me back from Chrome way back when, get off my lawn, was the fact that it didn't have a drop down on the search bar. because that at the time, you know, as I like to use things for the wrong purpose, was my bookmarks.
Yes. Yours and a lot of people's.
I would
A lot
just
of
click
people do
down
that.
and like, where was I at? There we go. Now it is, you know, same way with Firefox with the awesome bar. I just type the first few letters and it's muscle memory to hit down and enter. And yeah, it's fixed now. You're welcome. Or maybe it doesn't bother you. Maybe this is the new hotness. You're like, this is awesome. I've always wanted to perform random searches on 2 letters at a time. So
Yeah, well, at least it's not Firefox, because on Firefox nowadays, if you type something that it even assumes that it could be a URL, you're just going to go into a broken URL instead of just going to the next result over, which is the actual site you want it to go to. So, yeah.
Yeah. Same here, Vin. You know, I thought it was broke. Or one of my, actually, I honestly, I thought one of my plugins had messed it up. And I kept getting LWW show note listings from G Drive in my address bar when I typed L. Anytime I typed L, it was so annoying. So all the LWW show notes would come up. And sometimes I was looking for it, but mostly I was looking for other things.
yeah, I know, right? This is,
I know.
I genuinely, I did think in the back of my brain meats, it's like, this better not be, oh no, it's a feature.
It is.
Hey, long as I can disable it. The second that is not disabled, there are other browsers. That's all I'm saying, man. I'll be living that Edge lifestyle. How about that? That would upset some people, wouldn't it?
It's just Chrome. It's just Chrome nowadays.
No, Microsoft told me it wasn't just Chrome. It says it right. It says Edge. Totally not just Chrome. That's like their slogan.
I have a lot of Windows 10 at work. It's just Chrome.
Oh, man, quit. So, hey, a little bit of shameless self-promotion. If you like what we do, I've updated some things on the web zone for good, for worse. More on this in a minute. In our About section, I've made a studio equipment page if you've ever wanted to like tease your inner voyeur and be like, oh, what are all the parts and the bits? We've updated the support thing to include, so you can straight up creep on Jordan and Pedro. They have their own wish list. I have an extremely boring one for the studio, which has got cables and stuff in it. They're a lot more interesting than we are. And I broke out the affiliate links. So if anybody uses those for whatever reason, it's been updated because what is it, Pedro? We're Amazon influencers, or we're in a new program. We have a blue check mark.
We have our own Amazon storefront where
Right.
you can buy stuff on Amazon, and it won't cost you anything extra. Very similar to the how the
Well, this is how the list
affiliate
works,
links
man.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been threatening to do this for like years, and here's a way to do it. So this is, we used to say, hey, go to our wish list and like sort by purchase, and they got rid of that ability. But like, hey, I know a lot of people are curious about audio, and you can go buy this stuff on Newegg. We're not saying buy it through this, but you'll at least be able to track it down. You know, the USB DACs. There's Pedro's headset.
Yes,
Headset used by Pedro. There's my mic
it's
arm.
cheaper than the one Ven has.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Firewire cards, all the microphones that we use individually, rack equipment, and all that. And I mean, it goes the same with electric lighting, networking, storage, video, displays. What we're saying is you can play the home game. And I thought maybe that'll be of some use, you know, instead of like, I wonder what's this, or, you know, and everything, you know, works with Linux.
Yep.
Which, you know, even the equipment rack, Linux compatible, 100%, didn't have a problem.
Yeah. And, you know, there is, if you do get us something from the wish list, we are contractually obliged to read certain notes. So,
Yeah, we are.
Strider, for totally sick RBG vape FX, he sent me
Did he send you
5
a weasel?
meters,
Oh, that's not
5
a weasel.
whole meters
Yay,
of RGB
Matthew.
LED strip lights. So, yes,
Pedro
there
needed
will
his
be something that will be done with this teeny tiny. That's 5 meters. It's like I'm looking at this roll right here. It's like, yeah, that's 5 meters of RGB LEDs.
We're going to make a Pedro tree and burn it. I
So
mean,
thank you, Strider. Thank you very much.
Yay, Matthew.
that is brilliant. Thanks everybody making this possible, especially the 121 beautiful party patrons. Kicking us $286 a week, not for just this show, Saturday show, Tuesday, Thursday streams. And we did a special for the AMD event. We're going to be doing another one of those for CES, but hey, If you kick us some coin for that, you get access to our Campagan room, our Discord. You can come and hang out. Nothing's behind a paywall. We have IRC if you want to come chat live with us. But we do a special show every Saturday, an hour early, which is our production meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Come check that out if you want the latest hot takes on programming, Game of Thrones, and experiments that we're trying that may or may not make it into production. That is kind of brilliant. Thank you.
Yes.
We've gotten to do so much more than what we used to, and
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. Of course, we want to keep rocking on.
Yes.
You lot are insane, and we love you for it.
We love you, chat room.
You're enablers. You should feel bad.
Everyone.
Keep feeling bad. I highly recommend feeling bad. And if not for us, support those who support Linux, because I know I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of brilliant. So, Jill.
Oh, yeah, this is the... Oh, that's a cute picture, Ben. So this is the Node Mini Server. Version 2 is out and is a great do-it-yourself Raspberry Pi based server that you can use for decentralized web applications or as a NAS or whatever you would like. It's actually really beautifully put together. And it has a Raspberry Pi 3, a 2.5-inch hard drive, and other components inside a tiny 3D printed case. They used every bit of space. And the faceplates on the top and bottom also function as a heatsink, which will extend its life. It's definitely, it's made as an enterprise level server case, so you can use it in production for a long time without having everything burn out on you, which is really nice. And
if you are looking for something that you can carry around and, the TSA doesn't immediately throw you in Guantanamo Bay because that looks like a bomb, it's going to require a bit more work and probably a little bit more money, but it looks good. For a Raspberry Pi portable, basically what they have there is just like a networked hard drive. But yeah, that's pretty good. And it looks like an external hard drive. So it's like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What's it going to cost? Can you buy it?
Yeah.
Some coin?
I looked at the kits and currently they were sold out.
One of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
so I guess they have to make some more and put them on their website because they have a mini one, but they didn't have the bigger one available.
We'll stay tuned to that. Yeah. If you're looking for it, all this is going to be in our show notes, so you can go to linuxgamecast.com, tap that button, and you will find every single thing. Something that I really wish was around like 20 years ago when I was buying digital stomp pedals at prices that make your eyes bleed, but we have PiFX, a Raspberry Pi based pedal board. So this is an advanced DIY, probably not for anyone listening to this show, but maybe you're into the musics and you don't want to, maybe your Zoom 505 died and you want to replace it. Yeah, this would be great. Integrated, you do 6, 7, 8 clicks, wah-wah pedal and all that, but these things are very expensive. Yes. But you can replace a lot of it with a $35 Raspberry Pi. And this is just a cool project from going back in the day and doing a lot of stuff. And it got my attention because we've slowly but surely been transitioning off of hardware and going for software for doing the show, mainly so I can put together something for the rest of the internet. Like, here, go do it yourself. You don't even have to buy anything. And yeah, he even has to deal with latency, which is something that I have to deal with daily. That's kind of fun, but a tutorial for doing it, bill of materials, is not terribly expensive. $224. Like, that might sound like a bit, yeah, but what you're replicating is going to be, even used, you're going to be looking at like $300 to $400. So
yeah, easily.
Really
sometimes
cool.
Thousands.
Really neat. Again, maybe slightly advanced, but this guide on Medium, dude walks you all the way through it. This is nothing left to the imagination. So, hey man, you
and he even did. It's not a pizza box, but it is a cardboard box that he mounted everything to because hey, prototyping, right?
Dude, on a budget, man. I'm a huge fan of this. Yeah. I mean, I've never straight up built a PC. Amazon box, of course, man.
Yup.
Yeah.
There we go. Awesome.
I'm down with that. It's got nice little stump switches on it. So
Yeah.
brilliant. Just, that's cool. That's cool. That's using a Pi for something that at one point in my life was near to dear to my wallet.
Yeah. Definitely. The sample sounded really good too. He went into different genres of music, and it was sounded very good.
You can play with it. Get ready to go down the nightmare of plugins and how each one adds its own special latency to the loop, and you get, oh man, it's fun. It's great. I highly suggest you. What were you saying, Pedro?
I was going to say, if you actually look at the parts list, the most expensive bits are the Raspberry Pi itself and the teeny tiny 7-inch touchscreen that he used.
Mhm.
And it's like at the top of the article, you see the dream. And I'm looking at that, it's like, you build that out of a Raspberry Pi and some bit of 3D printed or some recycled plastic with some switches that you bought on RS Electronics or wherever really cheap. That is amazing. That is freaking amazing.
You could replicate it. Now, I would go a little hard mode with that. I would find a stomp box that is the dead.
Yeah. And actually integrate the pedal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would go down that road. Hey, maybe you at home like to integrate pedals and you want to tell us all about it.
Yes,
Maybe you got questions,
I'd like to hear.
thoughts,
Yeah.
hints, allegations. You want be like, I want these weirdos to get back in touch. Now, you can leave a comment on YouTube. We do read those. But the best way to get a hold of us, Pedro, how do they do it?
Well, the best way is to go to linuxgamecast.com. You hit the contact button. Make sure on the show box you pick LWDW, because that's the show where we take your feedback. Of course, if you want to send some hate mail for that Saturday show we do, you can do that too. Just give us your name, your email, subject, and whatever you'd like to ask, whatever you'd like to share. If you did build something really awesome with the Raspberry Pi, let us know. We'd be more than happy to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it. You don't even have to prove that you're smarter than Ven's CAPTCHA.
You don't, but it'll tell you if you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going through a VPN, it will trigger it.
Maybe VPN. It also does contextual analyzing of like word patterns, and it's pretty.
Oh,
yeah. We give a company some money for that, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Back to Antargos. Maybe this will be the last we ever speak of that once glorious project.
It
Aw.
could be, but Cody apparently, on the fact that Antargos died, it's like, when is the part where we fork and rename Antargos to Venstones Linux? Kind of like the Flintstones Linux, only not as rock hard. This terrible joke was worth every second of my life. Kudos, Cody. You got
Yay,
me to
Cody.
read that out loud.
Arch! All the things, Ben.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like using the Tinker toy of Linux.
Yeah, there's something to be said about, sitting down, hitting the power button, and stuff just working.
I'll be 100%. Like LTS, like all of these boxes are running 1804 LTS. And you know why? Except for this box, because I needed to get DaVinci up and running, and this is closer to Red Hat. Unlike this Fedora box, every day is not an adventure when I crack open DNF and I'm like, oh boy. Let's see if everything's going to be the same after the quick reboot of this. And, some people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Latest
Yeah.
and greatest. You think about it differently when you have to replicate results daily.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
You have to use it
Solus,
for work.
yeah, Solus, rolling this through that it is, they actually do a reasonable job of making sure that everything is working. Except for that stupid kernel bug with the Bluetooth, because that still hasn't been fixed. But that's the kernel's fault,
Yeah.
not Solus's.
Don't blame the Colonel, man. He makes delicious chicken. Leave him out of your war. Okay. Sensors, man. What was it, Mercia? Mercia?
Mercia?
Mercia?
Yeah.
All right, why not, man? Game of Thrones, baby. I have spent considerable hours Googling only adding, words. to my confusion, can someone give me some instructions on how I can actually get all my sensors, like fan speed and drive temperature? Right now, oh, this is for Pedro. KDE only shows CPU. Thanks.
Now that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yes.
Let me guess. You have an AM4 motherboard, because that's the only way that KDE and LM sensors. That's the only way that you get the K10 temperature and nothing else. And it is unfortunate that that is still the case, but yeah, if you want to get the rest of the sensors, you need to Google for your motherboard specifically with sensors, and
Yeah.
sooner or later you're going to end up in one of 3 different GitHub repos, which will have the module that is not included in the kernel. Maybe you'll be lucky and whatever distro you have, probably Arch has it in the AUR or something. But if not, you're going to have to build it from sauce yourself, like I've been doing, because IT87, I have had to build that kernel module many, many times if I want to see more than the K10 temperature of my Asus B350 Prime Plus motherboard. Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
A couple of things to look at that. Go ahead, Joel. You actually wrote something down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just like Pedro was saying, yeah, it greatly depends on your motherboards. I've been fortunate and I haven't ran into those problems, so I just
Intel
use-
motherboard.
Yes, I use Intel motherboards mostly. Even my AMD chips are on Intel motherboards. So the LM sensors, P sensor, and hard info are what I use. And I actually put a link in the show notes for some other options out there, including a program called STUI, which is a terminal user interface app that shows you all your sensor information and everything. So that's one I've never tried. So I've been wanting to try that, and that's in the show notes as well. So hopefully those will work for you.
So
But sounds like you're gonna have to recompile. So
that's their way of doing this. Let me tell you the Vin way of doing this. The Vin way of doing something is kind of like the wrong way of doing things, only faster. Out of the box, now I'll agree with Pedro, you're only going to get some very basic things with AMD, like B350. However, out of the box, most of the time, LM Sensors isn't even installed.
Yeah.
So, step 1, LM Sensors, install that. Step 2, sudo LM Sensors, detect. Now, this is where a lot of people are going to get scared, because it's going to ask you a bazillion questions, and it's going to be like, this could harm anything. F it. Just hammer that Y button, fam, until it gets down to the end. Give it a reboot. 9 times out of 13, you'll at least have your fans. You'll probably have your TDI and TCL. And remember, on AMD, which one is it, Pedro? That's, what is that, 20-degree offset on?
There is a 10 Celsius offset on the K10. So if you have the K10 temperature, just deduct 10 from that, and that's what your processor is currently going at. So yeah, if you install the IT87, it actually gives you the accurate one, but like Katana Steel mentioned in Chat Realm, IT87 is not updated anymore, so I hope you have a clone of that Git. If you don't, let me know. I'll give it to you.
If you have a Tomahawk B350 and you want that particular module, which will give you slightly more than what's included, I made a video on that almost 2 years ago, which it still works. It's still effective. On Threadripper, the offset's 24 degrees, I think.
Yeah.
That's
significant.
Yes. These are things you Google when you're like, oh boy, I really didn't put that thermal paste on, right? Did I? Anyway, that's the easy way to do it. With KDE, I have no idea what is it, like applets or whatever on KDE?
It's the plasmoid that gives you that. It just lifts directly from whichever sensor software you have installed. So if you have LM sensors, that is actually picking up on stuff, you'll get the options for everything else. But if not, then yeah, you're basically stuck with K10.
Right on. Okay, we're done. We've talked about Linux ad nauseum.
Yay!
We played with pies, we played with temperatures, and we said a good thing about Microsoft. Kinda, technically. Don't dig into that too much if you skip to the end. Just take my word on it. We're going to bounce out of here, roll some credits, thank all the beautiful people.
Yay!
Indeed.
We love our Patreons.
I mean, if it weren't for the insane number of people, which is actually, seriously, we love you all, but
Yeah.
you're
There's like
crazy.
six.
Y'all are crazy.
Don't call Patreons crazy because I back a lot of people on Patreon now because
Yeah.
I've turned into, I don't know, what is it, like ultimate? I don't watch any broadcast TV, man. It's like, that's kind of my rule.
Yeah.
Like I've said that years, well, like however long we've been on Patreon. I was glad when that came out because like anybody that I take time like to watch live, I'm like, all right, I'm going to give you $1
Yeah.
too. Because I'm making a schedule
Aw.
for that. But it's allowed me to finance other people. You know? I mean, I'm not necessarily
Yeah.
making it rain, but like $10 here, you know, $5 there. It
And
works.
even just,
Yeah.
you know, if you can only get like $1 a month or $1 a week, that adds up. Because if you have a lot more people like you that also contribute, that is awesome. That is the bulk of our Patreon. So thank you all very much.
Aw, thank you.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank
Also,
you to
we don't do
Chi.
ads.
Yes.
There's also that.
Yeah.
I have a philosophical problem with supporting someone on Patreon who also does commercials. For sure.
Yeah.
Personal thing. All right.
Cool. Bye,
Yeah, we-
chat room.
we'll
We
see you
love
next
you.
I can find the button. There it is.
Yeah, no, I no longer support PC Per on Patreon.
You monster.
See, the last episode, I'm like, hey Jim, you just spent 6 minutes doing an ad for something that maybe 3, 4 people that listen to you care about.
Well, that's because they were getting paid to do an ad.
6 minutes!
I read ads for a living, so I'm not hating on that. But 6 minutes might be a bit of a stretch.
A little bit.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be doing ads, if for whatever moon reason, and if I were doing it on podcasts, and don't listen to anything I say, I'm just a Yahoo on the internet. Do them before you do the show. Put them at the beginning.
Mhm.
Don't like mess up the flow of conversation like we do every week. We're like, but normally 9 times out of 10, we're just like, hey, yay, new people, awesome.
Yep.
Aw. Yeah, that was fun, huh, Jelly Bean? Thank you, Arthur, and thank you, Chi. Thank you, Sorceress. It was a fun show.
And it saves.
Neat.
Yay!
But yeah, when I don't know, I guess when this 1080 no longer performs, that's when I'm going to look at a new motherboard. And at that point, yeah, it's just PCIe 4.
Nice.
Because right now, it's doing pretty good. Doesn't like sensors very much. It needs a special module for it to work.
But
But
it's working good.
yeah, it's working really good.
There it is.
Okay, Shay and Linda are going for walkies.
Yeah.
Have some nice walkies.
Have fun, you guys.
For anyone playing the home game, it survived. I was curious.
It did.
In one piece. Anybody need some cables?
Yep.
That's everything that has been deleted. It's a delete mod. That's what the kids say these days. Back in my days, like I took things off my car.
Lift kit.
So, I mean, I didn't blow the kid up. He's like, yeah, I did the alternator delete mod. I was like, took the alternator off. All right. I feel you.
Yes, Arthur, and that's what we
Yeah.
call it.
It's Jack, NetJack, the Zeta Bridge. Bunch of fun stuff. Learning about frame latency and networks. I've been down a networking rabbit hole, and I'm rubbish at networking, so it's been a hard learn.
There you go. Katana's got the IT87 module with all of the sensors. And most of them are wrong, but yeah, well, the lows and the highs are wrong, but at least they report the actual value that it's currently at. Yeah, it's like the low, minus 81, the high, plus 127.
Yeah.
1.36. I got fans.
Yeah.
I got a pump.
Usually on the voltage sensors, you can see it's like, oh, it's a 3.3 volt pipe. How much is it pulling? 325? Yeah, we're good.
We're only at 52 degrees, so.
52 is pretty good considering Threadripper.
It's a very efficient heatsink.
Yes. Also very big.
It's only got a 140 millimeter fan on it. And it's not like the fan's hanging off.
Yeah.
That's one of the things on that little store thing or whatever, just the list. If you're building a Threadripper, buy that. Do not buy water cooling. Buy that. That beats the water cooling solutions.
Yep.
And it's quieter. That's where you're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah.
There's no pump noise.
No pump noise. And that knocked to a 140 millimeter fan don't make much noise.
Yeah,
And you
not
can't
to
hear
a
it.
fans. Even the teeny
They're
tiny 80 millimeter one that's on the 2400G. If it's idle, you don't hear it. If you
Yeah.
start playing a game, yeah,
It's great.
it's gonna ramp up.
It would definitely be cooler if I did a better job with the thermal paste, but I just got to put that on and screwed it on because I didn't expect it to work.
Yeah, Arthur, and I don't either, but I've used them in cases that you don't, see the parts. So
Yeah,
It makes some black and gray fans now.
I
Yeah.
tend to use stuff that works, not stuff that's pretty.
Admittedly, the brown and beige, like hearing aid beige.
Yeah. It's yeah.
It's a good way to communicate to other people that you buy what works, not what's pretty. So you see somebody with a knock to a fan, you're like, oh, all right, you actually know what you're doing.
I have two of those in the
Performance
front of
over
this
RGBs,
case.
brah.
Yeah, I have two of those in the front of this case because this is one of those closed front cases, so the only intakes are from the side. So I have those two there because they actually pull in a crap ton of CFMs, and yeah.
Let's see what Threadbooper's at. 37. Not
Yeah.
Threadbooper. This is Jackbox. This has only got a
1700.
measly 16 threads. Yeah.
Ardur is using 60% of a thread.
Well, Threadbooper's not exactly chewing at anything, huh?
Yeah. Well, you're not recording anymore, so.
It's pretty odd. Even when I'm recording, it's not hitting the CPU, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I live that NV encode lifestyle. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's why I want another one, so I can have my. Actually, I want a video card instead of a video encoder, but that's down the road. What we have right now works. 36.5. That's not bad at all. Depending on what your ambient is, always keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's like, well, my amp, is see, it's like, oh, 35 degrees. What's ambient? 12. I'm like, well,
That's only 20 something. It's 12 Celsius outside. In here, it's gotta be 20 something. So,
hey
since
man,
mine is currently running at 39, yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
I think I'm
Long
going to
live
look
the
up.
212.
I'm going to lock up tonight, and it's going to drop below 20 at some point
Yeah.
outside. It's been getting up to 35. It's normally not this hot.
Yeah.
Supposedly, temperatures are going to hit 30 here on Sunday.
Ooh.
It's going to be some dead gingers.
Yeah. I guess it's a good thing that Dave was off this week.
He's preparing, man.
He's just been sitting in the freezer. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not leaving till
Dude,
Monday.
that's the calling. You got to get ready. AIO coolers are great. I would argue that very much. It depends. I mean, if you get like a 200 plus rad, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing, like that Noctua cooler you got, the Dark Rock Pro 30, I think, and the Hyper 212, or the new one that they released. They're amazing little air coolers, and I think the most expensive one is the one that you got, Ven. And it's
70
like,
bucks.
Yeah, $70, $50, or $30 for the Hyper 212 Evo. Like, what are you doing?
Well, the 1700's got the 212 on it. I was like, all right, let's put them there. The thing about the Noctua 14 SU whatever, Jesus, this thing's big.edu, is it outperforms all the water cooling solutions.
Yeah. I
Heat
do.
pipes, man.
Yeah. Makes a big difference.
What cooler are you putting on that box you're building, Jill?
It's actually just the standard
Yeah.
Intel cooler. It's very quiet. So I was impressed
It's
by
quiet
it. So,
on idle.
yeah. Yeah. But I was running superposition and everything on it on the GPU,
Okay,
and then
alright.
it was really quiet actually. Now my other I have another an older i7 with default cooler on it, and it's loud, but this particular one is quiet. So honestly, all my Xeons and everything, I'm not even running fans on them. They're huge heat sinks. The heat sinks are as long as the case, and in some cases I've even made my own custom ones, and then you don't have to use a fan. But because they're so loud, they already have tons of fans in there.
Is that like rack-sized case that you have
Yeah.
them on?
Yeah. And it's got memory riser cards with those little noisy, annoying fans on them. I've replaced some of them, but it sounds like a jet engine when you turn it
Yeah,
on.
those teeny tiny 40mm fans are loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That
the
was the loudest-
CPUs are quiet.
Yeah.
So,
That was the loudest thing I had on the Steambox 360, wwere those
Those little
40mm fans. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, the three of you make more noise than the big ass 80mm fan on the CPU. How
Yeah.
about we bring this down to just one for exhaust? Oh look, it's quiet now.
yeah.
Got to
The
manage
blade
thermals.
servers are the worst for that because
Yeah.
this particular blade server has 20 of those little stupid fans.
If you look at like some like 2U, 4U, I mean, yeah, you're just going to have a rail, usually of like 60 to 80s in there. I mean, this is why I wear earplugs anytime I'm in a fucking data center, man.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
do it.
Yeah, the server room at work is not that loud, but that's because most of like the rack stands are empty. Because there was a point where every single tenant in the building had their servers there, but now most of them have their own systems and they have their own server room, so it's mostly just ours. And yeah, it's actually not the loudest thing is the AC.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping things, it's like you can do cool, you can do quiet. I'm just gonna pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that AC is welcome, especially like during the summer. It's like, I need to go to the server room. There's something's going on, and you just sit there. It's like,
Yeah, that can be nice. I saw that, I think it was Cooler Master, Tech Jesus did a video showing off some of their kits that, you know, for like real water cooling. So they're going to have their own water blocks, pumps. They're only going to be doing one particular pump throughout the entire series and reservoir and all that. Like, that's pretty good. People could actually do some real water cooling.
and you basically get to pick your own tubing. Do you want people to see your, I don't know, water with some dye on it?
Yeah.
Man, I've absolutely...
It's too high maintenance.
We needed digital cameras back then. I built one with copper pipes. It worked.
Yeah, like the pipe itself is a heatsink.
Well, I didn't have a way to build it, so I didn't let elbows, but copper pipes are cheap. But no, I mean, trying to simplify that enough to where the average person could at least take a stab at, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's neat.
And it'll bring the price of the boutique water cooling solutions out there now. They'll bring that back down to something reasonable because, yeah, it's stupid.
I just wonder if it's going to be mixed metal. That's another thing I got a problem with most of the AIOs. And I was like, but you can put like an anti-whatever in there. It's like, I'm call me old school and call me a person who doesn't have corrosion in their loop. Don't mix metals, kids.
By all means, use something that'll stop, you know, fungus and lime from growing.
I don't know. I mean, I would take an entire aluminium loop over a copper aluminium loop. Just, I don't have to worry about it.
Well, copper is good, you know, for heat transfers, but it does corrode.
Well, it makes sense on, I think, talking about the properties of the metals itself, is copper's good at absorbing. However, aluminium is better at dissipating.
Yeah.
This is why you'll see fin stacks not made of copper. That's out of the expense, too.
That's why the heat pipes are usually copper.
Heat pipes change the game.
Yep.
I mean, that was truly the like next level, because I was buying, I mean, the strategy before that was just milling out a giant block of copper. I mean, I went to bought all my stuff from dangerden.com, which I still have 2 of these massive heat sinks, and they're just milled out, just heavy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Ben, that's what I did for years. Is I made my own custom ones. I go to the drill press and align it and everything. And it's like my original Pentium Pro. My heatsink was whatever, like 6 inches high, but it did the job.
Well, I never did any for air. I used to make my own water blocks. I used to jack up some drill presses because that's how I drilled them out.
Yeah.
Mess up the bits, warp the air chuck. Good times. It wasn't mine though.
That's why you did it.
As I said to the person who let me play with their CNC machine, you're the one who let me. Oh man! All right, we can do this. I gotta bounce out of here. Did we get anything else going on?
No, I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Sure. I'm hungry. I know that.
Hungry?
Yeah, I'm starving.
Huh.
Well, it is past lunchtime in California, so...
Yeah, and it's Pedro's past dinner time.
You're just gonna have
I
pizza.
mean, most people here... No, burgers, actually. I have the minced meat. I just have to chop up some onions and some bacon.
What do you make the buns out of? Ham?
No buns. I'm just going to make some oven chips.
You're a monster. You know that? You're just making meat poutine.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, man. All right, that's got to be.
I need the gravy, though.
There's a German dish that is equivalent to, it is basically meat poutine. Go look it up, kids.
I know there's a place here in Cambridge that does poutine.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been anywhere near the center lately, so I haven't been able to go there, but yeah.
Yeah, Pedro's not allowed anywhere near that because I'll make him go to the Raspberry Pi store and he doesn't want to.
Oh. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, nephew Evan, who is watching, having fun.
All right, beautiful
Yay.
people. We'll see you next week. Jordan will be back Thursday, which is, I think, tomorrow. I'm not 100% on that. Time, wibbly wobbly.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing something
Timey-wimey.
Friday. It'll be brilliant.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. We love you.